What's going on, guys? Today I've got for you a little overview slash review of this knife right here. This is the McNees Mac 2 3.5, and yeah, we'll just get right into it. So, as is always a good tradition, get a little bit of size comparison on this. So this is the 3.5-inch version. So we got here a couple of knives of similar size and similar price point. So here we have the Chris Reeve large Sebenza 21. So you can see it's actually a reasonable amount bigger, but still kind of in the ballpark. And perhaps a little bit closer, we have the Hinder XM18 3.5. So this one perhaps a little bit closer. Now it's interesting because you can see that the Hinder is actually, a reasonable enough amount larger, but this is also a 3.5-inch blade, and so we can see that if we line the blades up, the McNees actually comes out to more cutting edge, which is a point that I'll get to. And then we just got another one. This is the Rat 2, so a little bit of a smaller knife, but just to kind of get a size comparison. And those are, close enough in size. Now, I've got a little bit of a history with the Mac 2. So the first ever Mac 2 that I owned was earlier this year, and it was a 3-inch one. Ended up selling that to get something else. Kind of regretted it, but always wanted to get another one. And then I ended up getting a 3.5-inch Shockwave and Magna Cut from Blade Show, which is on this channel. Ended up having to sell that due to some financial reasons, but wanted another one, so here we are with this one. So this one has a plain smooth handle. This one is also in Magna Cut. And then this one is in what they call the atomic finish. So we have kind of a little bit of a stone wash on the blade and on the handle. And then we have what's kind of reminiscent of just wear from, like, snail trails on a normal knife, but that's intentional on here, and they call that the atomic finish. So it hides wear very well. Now, something that impresses me perhaps more than anything else about this knife, and there's a lot of things, and it has been said before that for a 3.5-inch blade, this is maybe one of the most compact knives for that blade size. So this is a 3.5-inch blade. Closed, it is pretty well similar in size to the Rat 2, which is a 3-inch blade, which is wild. And then here we have the 3.5-inch XM18, and we can see that, again, remember, this has more cutting edge than this. But look at that. So that's very impressive how this design is able to pull that off. Now, these run retail about $500, and secondaries more than that, but not too much more. Maybe $50, $20, $50, $30, whatever, depending on where you can get it secondhand. And I carry this one quite often. And I guess I'll just kind of note a few things about this one since I've had it, because I didn't buy this one brand new. I got this one secondhand. First thing to say about just the company in general, McNees is one of the best out there. I met Jonathan at Blade Show, talked to him and chatted with him for a little bit. He's a super nice guy, just down to earth, good guy. And so it always, to a certain degree, makes a knife better just when you know that it's coming from a good company with good people. And that's what's going on here. McNees, something that they're very well known for is their action. Now, the 3-inch Mac 2 that I had earlier this year had a relatively light detent. The Shockwave I had at Blade Show had a strong detent, and they all kind of break in to a certain degree. This one, right in the middle, absolutely perfect detent. And the closing action, guys. Look at that. Everyone, including myself, loves a good drop shut blade, and McNees is no exception to that. And I can only have the one hand free, but I can assure you no blade play on this thing. I have checked. Centering is good. Yeah, there's something I had in my mind. Listen, none of this is scripted, so we're just running with it. Yeah, this one has broken in nicely. It wasn't too tight when I got it. It had to break in a little bit. Something else that I've also had the pleasure and experience with McNees is that I mean, there's never any lock stick, and man, I don't know why that's my pet peeve, but I hate lock stick with a passion. And this has none of the ones that I've ever owned have had any. So it's just made them very smooth, very fidgety, very fun, but also very practical. So this one's obviously in Magna Cut. I just sharpened it today. Magna Cut definitely does hold an edge. Well, it wasn't super fat. What am I saying? It wasn't super sharp when I got it, and when I got it was pretty much brand new in box. And that's kind of how I've had the experience with the brand new one I bought at Blade Show. Not super sharp. You know, it has a cutting edge on it, but it's not a butter knife by any means. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's not, you know, like this one when I got this Sebenza, super sharp. And for some people that bothers them if a knife isn't super sharp, brand new. I don't really care. Honestly, everything else is just so amazing on it that I don't really care because I knew I was going to, you know, put my own edge on it eventually anyways. The blade shape has this nice belly on it, which makes it very good for slicing. Not a super sharp tip on here, which honestly, again, one of those things doesn't really bother me. I like it. The ergos are great. The jimping is perfectly placed. I know that on some of the older 3-inch models, the thumb studs kind of, I can't get focused super close. The thumb studs were kind of stepped a little bit. These are barrels. I like the step ones a little bit more, but honestly, barrels aren't too bad. They work perfectly fine. The one thing about this knife, well, actually two things, this particular one. One thing just for the model in general, the pocket clip, here's the thing, a lot of people do not like the pocket clip on this knife. They don't think, I don't know, they just don't like the particular pressed clip that this knife has. I'm all right with it. I'm more in the middle. I definitely think it could have been better. And, you know, for the record, there are options out there for aftermarket clips, whether it's MXG or, you know, whatever have you, where you can get a new clip. So, yeah, maybe not the best in the world. It definitely can tear the edges of your pockets up if you're not, you know, cognizant of how you're placing it in there because it's not sharp, but, you know, it's got an edge to it a little bit slightly. But, you know, that's just one thing of note, but it doesn't really bother me because, like I said, just everything on this knife is so good. And the other thing, which, again, not even a big deal, but with this particular one, when I had gotten it, and, you know, I fidget a lot with my knives, as you can even just tell right now, the thumb studs actually came undone. So these are not pressed, these are screwed in. And just over time, I guess they loosened, and then I had to, you know, put them back on and everything. They never fell off. I just could feel a rattle, which, you know, when you have thumb studs that are being screwed in, that's just something that's going to happen. Not a big deal. But, yeah, other than that, great knife. I love carrying this. The size, for how much blade you're getting, the size is just unreal. The action is great. Lockup is great. It's a great company. There's really not really much to dislike about this, and even the things that I dislike aren't even really dislikes. They're just, you know, minor things that maybe I would change, but overall, man, this has got to be one of my favorite knives of all time. I used to own a lot of Hinders in the past. This one's not actually mine. I just have it right now because I'm selling it for a friend, and honestly, like, I love Hinder, but Hinder's got their own issues. But for me, this is it's slightly more money, maybe, you know, $100 more than an XM18, but the quality for what you're getting here it's there. If you can get one brand new for $500 or $550 for one of the milled ones, the quality is there, and I would highly suggest it. Possibly for me, top 3 knives of all time. I know for sure number 1 and 2 are Sebenza and Oz Roosevelt. This one could possibly be 3, but if not, it's definitely top 5 knives that I've ever owned. So yeah, if this is something that any of you guys ever have the option or opportunity to try out, whether it's a 3 or a 3.5 inch, yeah, I'd say give it a go. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. So yeah, that was the Performance Machined McNees Mac 2.